Hello and welcome to the very first podcast on this channel, my YouTube channel, which was my very first original and personal YouTube channel. I have yet to rename this. I don't know what I'm going to call this channel, and when you are listening to this podcast, this very first episode 1 of this new podcast, I may have renamed it by then and I may have not. But this podcast is actually an experiment. It is an experiment for me to, to begin creating content and to help me to process my ideas and record all of my ideas and inspiration and thoughts down on a daily basis and at least a weekly basis here on this podcast for this channel. Now, I have yet to rename this podcast. I do not know what I am going to name it yet. By the time that this episode is released onto this channel, I may have created a name for it. And welcome everybody, first and foremost, everybody who may be listening to this podcast in the future. I have no idea who will be listening to this. Ultimately, I am actually only expecting my close friends and family to be listening to this in order to follow along, follow my thoughts, and hopefully give me some feedback and some constructive, positive feedback in the comments, and any criticism, please, is welcomed, in order to help me to process my thoughts and reflect on all of my creative thoughts of the day. I will also be, I will also be on this podcast recording my progress in developing my brand, my main brand. So there is a lot to talk about on this podcast. So this is my separate YouTube channel, personal YouTube channel, which is separate to my brand channels and brand social media accounts. I will primarily, first and foremost, have my friends and close family be able to listen to this podcast if they so wish and follow along. And as you can see by the previous history of this channel, there may just be some comedy videos, my old college videos on this channel. And in the future, I want to upload so many videos on this channel, unedited, unprocessed, with very minimal work going into this channel whatsoever. I will barely add much of a description. I will barely add much interesting thumbnails. I will barely add, much over edited content. I will just be recording a podcast like this and then immediately uploading it to get it out onto YouTube. No time to post edit production quality into these videos, which is what I will be doing on my other brands, however, which is, of course, Hot Cuppa TV, which is my brand. That is my original brand where it all started, my gaming channel, which has become hugely successful and popular now on YouTube, getting thousands of views every time I upload a video, including to this day. My most popular video has like over a quarter of a million views, and my channel is already over total of 1.3, I think now, or 1.2 million views in less than a year when I started my channel, actually just over a year ago, actually, when I started it. I have, at the time of recording this, began to produce content for a brand new YouTube channel, Hot Cuppa Jordan, which is my second branch off channel from my brand. I have high hopes for this channel, high plans for it, and high expectations. But I don't expect anything at the same time in terms of, I'm not doing any of these channels currently for like views, for fame, for that type of success, if you will. I'm actually doing these channels for the real reason, which is what makes me so passionate even to record this podcast here and record down my ideas. It is my passion to create videos and to create content, even audio contents like podcasts now. I can't speak highly of how amazing they are, for me, how inspirational I find them on a daily basis, a day-to-day basis, listening to my favorite creators online and gaining massive and huge chunks of inspiration from them, listening to them talk about their ideas and thoughts and experiences throughout life, just as you are listening to me now. And hopefully you find a lot of inspiration and joy from this. I hope that you find this content super inspiring, that pushes you to go out and do what you really want to do as well, and pushes you to take action towards your dreams today, your goals, whatever it may be, dear friends and dearest family. I hope that this podcast inspires you to create or to do whatever it is that you love to do, following your passion, your dreams, whatever it is in this life. I have no judgment or distinguishable sort of judgment towards whatever anyone chooses to do in life, that they choose to follow, that they find passionate about. It's just that I personally find creating content on a day-to-day basis one of my main drives and passions that gets me up in the morning, because I have a lot of creative energy, and every single day I'm coming up with unbelievable amounts of very fiery and interesting ideas that I can't wait. I can't wait to create them, and then just release them and share them with the world, and then immediately create more. So basically, what have I discussed so far? So I have discussed what the basic gist of this channel is going to be, okay, to summarize. And I have discussed what this podcast is basically going to be. Each week to week or day to day, I'm not sure yet the frequency that I will be uploading this. You will see probably by the time that this and other videos are released exactly how many that I am putting out. However, each week to week, or podcast to podcast, should I say, we'll have particular topics on each week. So each week you may find I discuss one thing, I may discuss a very interesting thing the next week, but overall I'll be able to cover a broad range of topics that I'm thinking and currently working on, or creative projects and broad ideas that I'm currently working on and processing at the moment, all within one episode, including answering any questions or feedback that may come from any of you listeners on this podcast from the last episode. I will answer every single comment I get or any engagement in these videos whatsoever in all future episodes. Straight away in the next episode, I will actually directly answer your questions and or feature you on this podcast. So like I say, I'm not necessarily expecting this to gain any type of crazy traction and get thousands of views. However, you never know what will happen on YouTube. Especially after what happened last time on my channel, on my first gaming channel. So, at the moment, I'm currently recording this podcast late at night after I have been spending most of the day editing videos for Hot Cuppa Jordan. I have currently 10 fully recorded and partially edited videos. I have finished my first 2 videos completed, which means they are literally ready to upload onto the channel, and I'm working on editing the rest within the next few days. I currently have some time over the next few days to be focusing on that, and therefore I have used my creative energy throughout this day to I get up early. I've been getting up early in the mornings, having some coffee and some breakfast, and then heading to the gym very early, coming back, getting on with creating in the mornings. And then by the time it gets to the evening, I find now I run out of when I run out of my energy for that, I come and get into bed. And if I have any spare time in the evenings, like if I'm not with a girl or if I'm not hanging out with some of my friends, which happens sometimes during the week, then I will have times like this where I have a little bit of spare time in the evening when I'm actually just laying in my bed before sleep, where I'm craving so much to create. I've got so much creative energy that I need to be creating content all the time. And there's a reason. This is a reason why this is so important. So important, guys, and so key. And this is going to help you guys very lots in a minute. Whoever you are listening to this, I'm going to go into a reason, very big reason why I am creating at the moment, right now in 2020, on social media platforms now, like YouTube, like this, like my other platforms that I am producing content for, which I shall explain shortly in this video. For example, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn and Facebook and so forth. So I have so much energy to create, and therefore in the evening I would rather spend the evening time using my phone, which is, by the way, a high quality content creation device for you and anyone who owns one of these smartphones with a camera and apps on it. You can use an unbelievable voice recorder program in order to make high quality, audio content and or video content using the camera, and then just upload, and then use you can edit everything on your phone these days and then produce it and put it out online. This is why our smartphones, this modern day age of technology in 2020, is so powerful. Anyone can be a content creator if they so choose. Anyone can produce content and put it out there. Now, I believe that I am a content creator at heart. I have always been a very creative person since I was very young. Indeed, especially my family and anyone who knows me, any of my closest friends will know that from a very young age I've always been picking up, the camera and creating things. Like, I have so many videos from when I was younger on my little first camcorder camera that I remember. I think it was my mum or my auntie or maybe my mum's stepdad who bought that camera for me ages ago. Created little funny videos on it, and I was always creating art and drawing mandalas, drawing pictures, drawing things. I even used to write poems for a little period of time in my teenage years, and perhaps if my sister is watching or listening to this, she may smile and remember that. Some of those memories, some of the hilariously interesting little poems that I would write in my room. Actually, it makes me laugh, it makes me smile. But and I used to create some music. I used to have I used to even write a little bit. I'm not sure necessarily I explore that as much as I wish, and in the future I'd like to explore that more. But there's a lot of different things in ways that I like to create in, but primarily at the moment and in my life that I thoroughly enjoy so much is recording videos. And of course, if you know me even a little bit, you'll know that I'm super into videos, hence my YouTube channel and my other channels and such. So that is exactly that is all of that and where it comes from. I believe I've always been a creative person at heart, but now more than ever I feel more inclined to create. I feel like I have so many different types of content that I would like to release out, and this is one of my latest podcast ideas. As my voice cracks even more than a sheet of shallow ice that you're walking over a lake, praying for it not a frozen lake, praying for it not to crack and for you to fall inside into the icy hell that lays beneath. But essentially is a podcast. Now, I've been getting this audio podcast content creation idea more from the amount of from multiple different things at the moment, and this is why I think you guys are this next part that I'm about to explore, which is podcasts, audio content, and the future of why I'm creating content, and especially the platforms I have chosen to create the content on, why I am doing it in order to build my brand and work on a brand, and to build my future business and work on a business is so important and interesting, and is so why I think that any of you listening to this may be able to share it and gain value from this, especially. So a few reasons is one, I have, to be honest, I've always kind of loved podcasts and thought that they're super interesting from a personal side note. But from, excuse me, from number one is For example, I've been listening to podcasts. I've been listening to a lot. I've been listening to them more and more often. And I'm sure that whoever's listening to this probably has as well. And that this is not necessarily the first podcast you are listening to recently. I am willing to bet that you have probably been listening to podcasts, whether it's in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, or like me, in the gym when you're working out, on your headphones, or in the kitchen while you are cooking, or perhaps in the bathroom while you're, having a bath or having a shave or whatever. Just in moments where you could be learning, but in the past we never had necessarily such an easy way to be consuming content constantly. So there's two ways some people look at this. Some people look at it negative. Some people look at it positive. For example, those who think that smartphones and technology is ruining our lives and making us addicted to screens and technology and phones and bright lights and sounds and that we're not in touch with nature, see it as necessarily a kind of bad thing. But those who like I think me, who takes more of an optimistic view towards it, sees content as a tool by which you can constantly always be learning. So even in your down periods, in your downtime, let's say for example, in the evening now before I'm going to sleep, I could be turning on an audiobook, I could be reading, I could be consuming content, but not by picking up a book at all, just by laying in bed and then having my phone play me a educational series or something that I can learn from and constantly be upgrading my mind and my intellectual knowledge at any time, any place, whenever, using these devices. So that is one of the things about podcasts, and I have been listening to many during those periods of time, and I've been learning a lot. So for one of those reasons, I wish to spread my knowledge, and I have so much value and epic, things that I can share by this podcast. So that is one, which is listening to others and the joy it gives me in my day-to-day life and the joy that I wish to be able to share and give to other people. Secondly is that I am consuming a lot of content, but I notice that it can become a habit, and this may be the same for any of you who are listening to this. Similar, you may realize that, I've been watching tons of YouTube videos. I've been listening to lots of different podcasts or different people. Maybe I've been listening to different types of music on my iPhone a lot and just getting sucked into all of these things, TV programs on Netflix, but I'm not doing anything with my life. It feels like I'm necessarily not using my time and maybe the most productive thing possible. Yes, it's all amazing. It's really entertainment and really, so addictive. But am I doing anything? And am I making anything out of my life? And if you find that you're not, this is one of the podcasts I am happy that you have stumbled upon, because I would want you to, after this, instead of going to consume the next piece of content, think what it is that you are personally really love, that you personally are passionate about, right? And then go and create some content for yourself. Go and put out a piece of content and create your legacy. It's so much more rewarding, and you feel so much more like you've got more done when you are creating and content yourself and putting out value out there to the world, right? I mean, hundreds of thousands of people have watched my video and content and enjoyed the living hell out of it. Thousands have left comments, tens of thousands of comments I have on my channel, and just so many people over the moon, overjoyed, and so happy to see my videos and content, and so happy that I made the time to create it. And that's just a tiny little drop, a beginning of the start of my future of creating content online. Now, how does that feel compared, right, to just watching movies, playing video games, listening to music, going to your job, coming back home and watching things again, going to sleep, and like over and over and over again doing that. You're not necessarily, spending time with your friends and then talking with your friends about things that you have watched, like and stuff, instead of coming up with ideas with your friends, with a creative team around you, other people who are interested in creating things themselves, and then coming up with new ideas, and then working on something, a project, a piece of work with you and your team together, or you and some close friends. And that is an amazing, much more value-filled way of spending your life and, producing content, for me anyway, in my personal opinion, towards my own self. So that's another kind of massively off tangent rant going off there about one of the second reasons why podcasts. And then the third reason is a specific inspirational, kind of, he's actually an entrepreneur, but some people call him an inspirational speaker, but he is called Gary Vee, actually, and he's on YouTube. He's very big on this, on content creation and brand building. And he is essentially, I'm just checking on my phone here because I'm actually recording this at the same time, and I'm just checking a few pieces of information. But anyway, he is massive on helping people to start and build their brands and to create something meaningful, and use their ideas and stop becoming consumers and start becoming creators. And I love that idea, and that is a third reason why I would like to create this podcast, is because he specifically and personally has inspired me and been a massive catalyst to me lately in order to get off my arse and to actually, start clicking play and producing content myself. So there it is. There is my first massive rant on these podcasts, which I absolutely love, guys. And I really hope that you, whoever you are, probably just my friends and family, but who knows in the future who will ever come across this podcast. And to be honest, most importantly, my future self. I absolutely love recording down just anything that I'm doing in life for my own, documentation, for my own memories, to be able to look back at it. And I just had a notification come through on my phone here from my littlest sister, with a little funny message. But anyway, guys, I digress. What I'm saying is from my memories, and then being able to go back and look at it in the past. Don't you think that's such an amazing thing? I mean, photos. Why do people look at photos, right? Why do old people look at photos? They look at things for memories, to relive their youth, right? And video and modern day social media, uploading things online, for example, is an online storage space. It's an online catalogue. It's like a living photo album. It's the modern day age, the 2020 day age of being a photo album and a memory storage. So where you can come back and look in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years time at your memories and what you were doing, back in the past. And it's amazing. You can have all these things stored forever. But you will never have anything stored, and you will not come back to see any memories at all if you don't create content and actually upload it online. And that is really the main purpose for this podcast. It's really a kind of selfish reason. It's for myself to come back and to relive my thoughts and what memories of what was happening at this time, and just really find it entertaining, and just find it really insightful to be able to come back and look back at myself. So mainly it's for me, but I hope anyone who comes across this will enjoy it. This first episode was just a little bit of a rant, and not necessarily as focused as future episodes will be, but it's just to get out my thoughts initially and get it out there, because one of the trickiest things you come across when it comes to building a brand or creating or videos or an audio podcast or even photos or anything, and then putting it out there and producing it is one of the biggest obstructions and most underestimated but overlooked things, and is really difficult, more surprisingly so to most people than you even think, is actually clicking play and actually recording something and doing something, and then not just chucking it away because you don't think it's right or because it's not perfect. This is all about, for me, a journey of becoming an even better and more improved content creator every day. And for that, I've learned one thing, and that is that things do not need to be perfect. You do not need to feel perfect or expect perfection every time when you're trying to create something or create any piece of content or build something, build a brand or build videos, anything for any social media platform whatsoever online. And that is so important, and I really hope that inspires any of you, to be who you are, to be yourself, to be honest, is the most powerful and most honestly, like this is honestly so true, like from my heart, that this is being your most authentic and true self is so important and so key. And it's also the most attractive thing, right, online, because people don't want someone who's fake. People resonate and gain value from other people being truthful and just sharing their truthful experiences and not being perfect. Making mistakes, being failures, and then learning from their failure, and then doing it again, and then trying something different that maybe works better but not as well, and then still fails, right? And then they get knocked down, but then they get up, they try again, and they create something, and that one masterpiece becomes one of their best pieces of work in their whole life, and they become they gain an unbelievable amount of opportunity from that one thing that they have created, and they would have never created it if they have given up. And that becomes an inspiration for other people, to go out and create content or to do whatever they wish to follow their dreams. So leave whoever is listening to this podcast, I really appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. I could talk. I can't wait to make more future episodes of these podcasts. I've only just began to touch the very tip of the very top of the very massive top of the massive mountain of Mount Everest, of the iceberg, on this grace, but scratching the surface, guys, of the huge ocean of wisdom and knowledge and joy and inspirational creativity and creative content that this podcast and my content has to offer in the future. So I hope you guys have all found inspiration from this. I hope that you tune into the next one. And yeah, I will be mainly working on the rest of my channels, which, if I remember, I will try to leave them in the description below of this video, or comment and ask me, and I will happily share my information so that you guys can go and check out any of my other channels and come and follow me on there. And those are me creating highly produced, fully edited videos and content and other podcasts for those channels. And that is what 98% of all of my energy is going, 99% of all my energy is actually going into. And the 1% of the last bit of my energy of the day, when it's in the evening and I'm laying in bed, will go to me being able to record this, which is a podcast, and maybe any other spare energy videos that I have for anything else that I will put out onto this channel. For example, I might do an experimental gaming series on this channel. Who knows, and who cares? If you want to join me for that, or some people can join me if they wish to, or not, or some people can check out my podcasts and come and just join me on this if they want as well. But I hope that this podcast is something that you can sit and play in the kitchen while you're cooking. You can listen to at the gym when you're bored. Please let me know any of your thoughts if you've listened to this far and find this interesting and are looking forward to another episode of this. Let me know, please, in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate you guys, any of my friends, family, or anyone else listening. If you happen to have stumbled across this magically through the power of the internet and have found this to be of interest to you at all, I would love to hear, and I'd really love for you to see just a comment from you of what you thought down below, or even just a few words letting me know that you've listened to this podcast. And especially if you've listened all the way up into this far, write the keyword latte. Just write the word latte in the comment, included in your comment of whatever you leave me in the comment section below. That would be unbelievably amazing. I wouldn't even expect anybody at all on this planet Earth to have listened to this podcast all the way to the end this far, so far. But if you have, God bless you. I love you. And you are truly an amazing person here listening to me right now. And I hope that you listen to this and it makes you smile. And I hope that I'll be able to create more podcasts in the future. I'm ranting at the moment, but I kind of enjoy ranting. There is a lot of other things that I can't wait to talk about in the future episodes. But I'm going to leave it with one last thought, which is the different things I would like you to leave or comment in the comment section below, right? So if you are listening to this podcast, please let me know, what is your goal? And if you don't have necessarily a goal, what is your passion in life, right? What do you love and enjoy doing more than anything? And if you could, what would you spend your whole life doing if you did not have to go probably to a job that you don't necessarily, is not your dream, right? What would you be doing if you could? And leave it in your thoughts in the comment section below. And yes, leave the keyword latte, and that's about it. I will leave it there. I would love to hear your thoughts, and message me or DM me privately if you are my close family or friends, and let me know any of your thoughts. And anyone listening to this, please get in contact with me and let me know your thoughts about this podcast, and I would love to start a conversation. Really be interested to see what you guys have to say, and I will read all comments in future episodes. And that's about it for this. I have not named this podcast yet. If this podcast comes out and it is still not named, please leave some some names suggestions in the description below. However, that will be it, and I would like to thank you all for listening. I will see you guys all in the next video on this channel, and especially the next podcast. So take care, and thank you all very much for watching, and signing out. Goodbye.